Welcome to Scorpio Soul Time. I'm Ronique, and welcome to my new podcast. This is where we're going to look over the astrology, but kind of talk about it in a very down to earth way. I think many times when you just do tarot readings, sometimes you're only focusing on the tarot, and I think that it's important to have lots of divination tools. And I just love talking, so let's get right into it. So, this is episode 1. I'm calling it Taking Back Your Power, as we have the North Node in Aries and South Node in Libra. So check out the program under the Scorpio Soul Time podcast tab on my channel. For those of you who don't know, I do astrology, but I also do tarot cards. Visit me on scorpiosoultime.com, where I have a full website that delves deeper into all of these type of topics. So I'm really excited because I am a Scorpio sun and moon and an Aquarius rising sign. And then I have lots of Sagittarius energy. So most people say I'm not the typical Scorpio because I'm pretty outgoing. I'm not just to myself. But I have noticed with myself that I have much of these Scorpio emotional and to myself topic things in my head. So this is how we do. So let's get right into it, you all. So what I would like to accomplish with this podcast is coming on here and talking about what important aspects we're dealing with in the astrology, but how does it affect us on the everyday? And especially, how does it affect us being able to work with other people, work with ourselves? I think this is really important for us to really delve into where is it that it's the me versus the we. So that Aries energy versus that Libra energy. And before we get too deep into it, I just want to let you know that this podcast, I really want to not only discuss astrology, but also talk about the high vibe and the low vibe and how you can use it in your daily life. And then also, I want to talk about some viewer comments that I think are really important to highlight. I won't call out the actual viewers who have left comments on my channel, but just to talk about the themes that they're talking about, because I think we all discuss them in our own heads or in our own lives. And lastly, we'll just talk about what's coming up in the astrology, okay? So let's get right into it. So just a little about me before we jump in. I have been doing tarot and astrology for probably about the last 13 to 14 years. I started back in 2010 when I had a birth chart reading from an astrologer, and then it kind of got me more interested. And then my husband had one, and then we both have been very into esoteric learnings and teachings and energy. And then over the years, we have noticed that we've been able to keep honing, the practice and learning more about it. And then I would say probably in around 2015, 16, I started thinking maybe I should start a YouTube channel. So actually in 2019, at the Aries new moon, I started and launched Scorpio Soul Time. And I would just do, come on here every now and then, but I really got serious in the fall of last year of 2022. And here we are now at the nodes changing here on July 12th, 2023. So that's a little bit about me. Let's discuss how we can use these Aries and Libra themes. Okay, so we have moved from the Taurus North Node, which was about our money, our finances, but also our relationships with ourselves, our possessions, our physical, things around us, what it was that we were honing in around our possessions. But Uranus obviously has been in Taurus as well. And so we've had a lot of themes around where is it that our possessions and money, we've seen it with the housing crisis. We've seen it with, just our physical daily life with our jobs and our physical world. And that was what we were going and moving towards with the North Node. And then the South Node was in Scorpio. So Scorpio is more delving deep. It's more in the psyche. It's more an emotional water sign. So we were moving away and purging out themes of other people's money. Where is it that that we were moving away from needing to focus on other people, but also where is it that we needed to talk about things with ourselves that we don't tell anybody else. Okay. So we've moved through that energy and we are now moving towards this Aries energy, which is fire. And I love this energy, you all, because I think each of us always have some area of our life that we need more courage or we need to be able to step up in situations that we don't feel comfortable, right? And I think that this Aries energy on the high vibe side is going to really help each of us be able to take back our power, be able to be in situations in a room full of people that maybe before we didn't have the courage to step up, or maybe a presentation we didn't want to deliver in front of a group of people. There really is that power that comes with that Aries first sign of the zodiac, right? So that's where the North Node is going to really help us. And it's really this time, you all, of taking back this portion of ourselves that maybe we have felt smaller. I feel like oftentimes with that Taurus and Scorpio energy, they are very like controlling signs, right? They're very fixed signs. And so they really are those signs of like, I think it made some people feel like they couldn't get out of their mold or like they couldn't get out of their shell. Or I think control came from maybe bosses or family members, or just people who were trying to be too big for their britches and controlling everything. And so I do think that you have to be careful of that with that low vibe portion of Aries, that you don't want to feel like you're stepping on other people's toes. You can be very conceited with Aries energy. So you want to really be careful of that, right? You don't want to go too far off the deep end with the Aries energy and just be like, oh, I don't care about anyone. I'm just doing my own thing. I'm being courageous. Well, there is a point where you can be too overbearing, right? So there is going to be that fine balance with Aries, which is that me energy, which is that Mars energy. But then the South Node in Libra is more of the kumbaya energy of like, how can we all get along? How can we seek justice? How can we all focus on more positive relationships? And I feel like since Libra is an air sign and it is focused on more of the relationships that we have with ourselves, with others, it's also important to remember that when it's in the South Node, this is karmic energy that we want to move away from. So it's the relationships that are not beneficial, they're the relationships that are not good for our psyche. Okay. So this toxic relationship vibe or energy that we're moving into, I think is really important after Scorpio and Taurus, because I feel like now, instead of just worried about the physical world and your job and the money that's coming in, or your house, or like the physical world, we're now moving into this more like the mind energy of Libra, but that fire energy and that passion energy of Aries, of like, where is it that you are not only losing your power, but maybe there's been people around you that have been taking your power. Okay. I feel like that scorpionic energy, especially, is one that is controlling and can sometimes take people's power. And for me personally, I'm going to tell you this little story about me last year in 2022. I had a time, you all, with job situations. It was just like a hot mess. And so I went through two jobs during the Taurus and Scorpio transit of the 18 months. One I had been at for 2 years, thought I was doing really well, but just started to see that I was not gelling well with the people around me. I had really good relationships, but then I had some that were like very toxic, and more that were more like managerial level, that I just was not seeing eye to eye. Left that job, started another one where it was kind of a bait and switch situation where I came in under one, pretense, and then 2 weeks later realized this was not what I thought it was going to be. Spoke up to my boss and said, this isn't really what I thought this job was going to entail. What happened to, me really being the project manager, blah, blah, blah. That did not go well. Stayed there for a few months, was let go. So I tell you all of that to say Aries and Libra, I think, is going to be a much better realization of how to take back your power, how to be courageous, but also how to realize toxic relationships when you need to move out of them quickly, okay? Or just move out of something that you've been in for too long. So that brings me to just talking about viewers' comments, because there was some comments last week when I had posted that poll about what are you most looking forward to in this Aries Libra node change. And one of the comments was just talking about more around, leaving toxic relationships. And I think that that is so important, you all, especially in the job or in your career or people around you. I think that many of us tend to give our bosses or the organization all the power, right? And then we kind of get into this like submissive, don't want to say anything, kind of hiding in the corner type feel. And we don't even realize it until it gets so far gone that we don't know how to even change it. And so I invite each of you, as you move into this Aries Libra node change here on July 12th, really take some time to figure out in the Aries areas of your life, where is it that you want to build more courage? But where is it that you also need to just focus on yourself and leave the toxic relationships behind? Okay. And on my tarot reading, I like to focus on just the energies that are we're working with during that time. So I have a Aries and Libra tarot reading that I would love for you all to watch. Those are for all 12 signs, and it really helps you figure out how to most use this energy, but also how is it that you can recognize that you're around people that are no longer for your highest good. I should have realized probably a year into my first job that I was speaking of. I really noticed the signs, but it's kind of like you make up these stories in your head like, oh, it's just me, or no, it's going to be okay. And then as they keep getting worse, you're like, oh, I actually saw this, like, 2 weeks after I like started this job, but you don't want to be a Debbie Downer. And so you're just like, no, 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 I'm going to make this work. So definitely take this time, you all, to explore how you can move away from the toxic energy and move towards more about focusing on yourself, your career, your goals. Aries is a really goal oriented sign. And so it's really good too, because we're now in this Leo energy where, I'm recording this here on July 11th, where Mercury just moved into Leo. So it's like, where is it that from a communication standpoint, you're ready to step into more of this like powerful role? If you need to be able to speak up in front of a spouse or a friend that like is always a little overbearing, or you just kind of keep things to yourself and you're now realizing it's eating you up inside, this energy is a really good one to give you more oomph, right? More power to feel like, okay, maybe I can speak about this and not feel so intimidated. So I think that while we have Mercury moving into Leo, we also will have Venus going retrograde in Leo on the 22nd, and the Sun moving into Leo on the 22nd, and the Sun squaring the nodes on the 22nd. So really big energy coming up, right? We have that new moon in Cancer also on the 17th, which is just 5 days after this node change. And so there's this opportunity for all of us to like hone in on our home life, our family. For any of you who all need more nurturing, I think each of us need to take some time and really nurture ourselves, whether it's detoxing or getting out into nature, or exercising, getting more rest. I've been trying to drink more water. I mean, half of the world, it seems like right now, are under like these huge heat advisories. And so that already is this sign to me that we are stepping into this really fiery energy. And I feel like some of that has to do with Aries. I really do. I feel like, I mean, obviously, Leo is a fire sign as well. But I feel like obviously the summers are always warm. But I just read the other day that we were literally I think July 3rd and July 4th were like the hottest days of the earth that has been on record. Like, that is wild, you all. And I really feel like it really has something to do with shifting towards this Aries energy. So I definitely feel like as we come into, the rest of July, it's going to be really important to focus on where is it that you need to take back your power, work on the relationships around you. But also, I think it's a good time for each of you to examine what is in the future. I think some of us get so stuck into what the doldrums are of the day to day that we forget, like, this is only this energy, but tomorrow it's going to be a little different, and next week it's going to be a little different, and so on and so forth. So, what I always try to do on Scorpio Soul Times tarot readings is give you a forecast of what's to come. Okay, so in August, we are going to have new energies coming in. I already have those August tarot readings up, so make sure you check the playlist on that homepage of Scorpio Soul Time. But I also feel like this is a good energy for each of you to take some time for yourself and write out what your goals are for these next 18 months. For the Aries energy, write out what 18, or 18 would be a good number, but what things or what goals do you want to achieve in these 18 months where maybe before you didn't have the courage to do so. Okay, in the Libra energies of your chart, and if you all do not know how to find what house these planets or these signs are in, you can always go to like astrology.com or astro.com. There's a lot of free websites that you can go and find your birth chart by just putting in your birth date and your time of birth and your location. But the houses that are affected for you will be these areas that are highlighted over these next 18 months. And so write down those goals for your Aries area. Write down what you want to move away from, who you want to move away from. If it's toxic relationships of your family members, of a spouse, of a friend, of a coworker, of a boss, of an organization. Like, it doesn't even have to be just people. Relationships can also deal with, the organization that you are under. If the entire organization that you work for is toxic and is like only wanting you to, like, kill yourself working every day, this is not healthy energy. Okay, make sure that you're moving into a more healthy energy. Okay, so I think that is going to, like, think we're going to sum it up with that Aries and Libra energy. I want to make sure that I also give you just like some really good advice for moving into the remainder of July and moving into August. So in August, we will have two full moons. We have one on August 1st, which is actually in Aquarius. And then we have a full moon. I realize I did not pull it up. So I'm going to pull it up as we're talking. So we have that first full moon in Aquarius on August 1st. And then we have a full moon in Pisces on August 30th. And then we have a new moon in Leo on the 16th. I'm mentioning all of this because August is going to be a big month. We have a Mercury retrograde also coming August 23rd. Uranus turns retrograde on the 28th. Huge energy still on the way. Okay, you also really take July to get comfortable with this Aries and Libra change. Really get comfortable with the goals that you want to move towards and the people and relationships you want to move away from. And once you enter into August, just know that some of these illuminations are really going to become really apparent with those two full moons, like I said, and that new moon in Leo on the 15th. Mercury retrograde and Uranus retrogrades by the end of August. So those are the energies we are moving towards. Do let me know if this was a helpful podcast for you. This is my very first one doing. So I really want to know if this resonated with you, if there's any information that would be more helpful. I like to talk about astrology in more a down to earth way so that it's not quite so high technical, needing to know all of the, jargon that goes along with it. But for those of you who do know all of the jargon, you all know these energies. But I like to make sure that my conversations with you are ones of helpfulness. I had a meeting with a friend last week, and she is actually a Libra, and we were kind of talking about kind of her relationship challenges that she's going through with work and with a spouse. And I just really told her, these next 18 months are going to be huge for you. You're going to come out on the other side a different person. And I really feel like that's what's happened to me with this Taurus in Scorpio nodal axes change. I mean, hey, like I said, I went through 2 jobs. We actually moved homes like 3 times over the last few years. So this has been really big energy over these last 18 months, but I can definitely say when I'm looking back on it, it was all worth it. It was really where I needed to like get me out of these relationships that were no longer serving me for my highest good. And I also think that as we move through this energy, you all, we're going to become stronger with the relationships that we no longer need. And we're going to be stronger with the people that do want to be supportive and the organizations that we do want to be a part of. I do think it's going to bring us together. So I'm excited to see where we go with all of this, but do let me know in the comments if this was a helpful podcast for you. I look forward to seeing you over there with my tarot readings as well as scorpiosoultime.com. And that's it for now. I'll talk to y'all later.